Okay, I'm live, everybody. So this is what Monday, August 5th, 2024, and markets are in turmoil, as they like to say on CNBC. And right now, I just have the Nasdaq E-mini futures here pulled up, and we can see some things just by using the SMAs and the Ichimoku. And right now, price did break that baseline last week, and it went straight down, and now it's testing its first support zone, which is that green line, which is the 50-week moving average right now. So far, it's just a little wick, right? And it's nothing too scary right now, right? So, yeah, essentially this could hold. If that does not hold, then there is a possibility to continue back to the cloud into maybe the 16,700 or so, right? So just got to pay attention to these levels throughout the day. But it's kind of a good sign so far, seeing that there's a little wick. Like if you zoom in here, it is wicking a little bit above and it's maintaining that support. And if you can look to the left of the chart, there is some previous support there. And it also still is a higher low from this low right here. So this is still a bullish market structure in this high time frame of the weekly chart, right? So it's nothing too scary yet, but just wanted to point out that this level does need to hold in order for things to try to bounce, right? If they don't hold, then again, things will go lower. So we're watching this level, and that level on the future is this 17,414. That's that level right here. So right now it's at 17,513, so it's about 100 points higher. So let's go check out the E-mini futures here for the S&P. And so something similar here is that while they're both losing the baseline as a support, this 50-week moving average for the E-mini S&P futures, it sits at 49.58. So that kind of looks like there is a possibility to continue lower. Is there anything that can give it a chance to maintain current level support? So if I put on the monthly indicator here, or the monthly chart, there is that conversion line right there, right? And that conversion line does sit at 51.35 right here, the blue line. So right now, price is at 51.38 and it's at 51.35. So it has met its first level of support, right? And on a monthly basis, it really hasn't back tested that conversion line since back here, like November, right? So it's been like almost a year, a couple more months, and then it'll be a year, right? Around election time will be a year. So this is its first support level, right? So 5135, I'd like to see that level hold. Could it wick through lower levels and then close the month back above? That is also a possibility because there's still 25 days left in the month. But I just want to let you guys know, even though on the weekly chart, it's not at a resistance point, on a monthly basis, on an even higher time frame basis, it is still at a support level. So that is a good thing right there. So we'll see if this 5135 holds. And now I'm going to show you some log scale Gann charts that I've created for both of these charts here. And going to start with the NASDAQ here. And I made a couple of arrows here just because we can see that it's currently losing this top arc here as a support. I was thinking maybe a back test. If that is lost, then it could come down all the way to the bottom arc, which would actually back test this previous high here. And that would be a 15,000, right? So these are just some important levels in the future to pay attention to if they are lost, right? But this week is not over yet, so there's a possibility for this still just to be a wick and close back above. Right? And let me zoom out so you guys can see the total symmetry of this chart, just so you can see how well it's played out, right? So like, we'll start with the orange level, how that was important down here. And all the arcs were important as well. You can see them back testing arcs and levels here. And here you can also see the same thing with this green level, how it went up to get rejected by this angle, and it came back to retest that green level perfectly. So this is still a nice uptrend, right? And you can just see how overextended things have gotten. So I still think the ultimate target does sit up here with the NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures around 25,000, right? Because of this market symmetry, how it did already successfully backtest this green level. And so far it's holding around this arc as a support. So I think in the high time frame, things have the possibility to continue higher to this 25,000 level in the future. But right now we have to make sure all the support holds. And where is that support again? It's 17,415 for the NASDAQ E-mini futures right there. That 50-week moving average, that's where I want to see things hold in the future. And if you guys have any like chart requests, either crypto related or stock related, I can take a look at that too. So don't be shy. So let's see here. And just for fun, let's go take a look at, okay, I see a request for CLSK here. All right. So there is CLSK, and I'll take off all the indicators first just so you can see it clearly. I was hoping this blue level was going to hold as a support here, but it has not, right? It has not held at all. And it looked like there was a possibility even last week of holding that support. But now you can see in pre-market, it's down at 1043, down at this line right here. So that's where price is currently sitting. Is there any support around that zone, 1043? Well, you got the 200-week moving average at 1083. You have the cloud is kind of approaching right there as well. So that is also some support. But like it looks like really, really strong support now would be the confluence of these three things. The 100-week, the blue line, the top blue arc right there, and this 45-degree angle. Like that is all setting up to be amazing support if it ever got there. And that does sit at 785, right? So if this current support range doesn't hold, then 785 could be the target, which if you look to the left of the chart, it looks like it is just back testing. Like if it went to 785, it would just be back testing this little range right here before things broke out. So these are important levels to watch. And I'd like to see a weekly close for CLSK back above that 1083 level, even that 50-week right there, the green line, 1183. So if this just becomes like a candle that opens here and closes up higher, then that would be a good scenario. But the one thing I want to be cautious with is that it's getting closer and closer to the cloud, and soon it could open candles and close candles underneath the cloud, which could make this 45-degree angle below get hit. Like it doesn't necessarily need to get hit in time this week or next week. It could be in the following weeks, which the price would be higher, right? So I am liking the confluence though of these, but I'm hoping this will hold, right? So it's just those are the numbers that I'm looking at for CLSK. And I see for XRP. Okay, so Bitcoin's at 50,000. Where is XRP at? So this log scale chart is still holding nicely. I have all the indicators here, so you can see exactly where price got rejected. And on the weekly basis, it was the 200-week moving average, right? It was right there the whole time, and kind of at the bottom of the cloud as well. So if price can't break a resistance, it's going to go back down and test support. And for XRP here, it looks like that support now still could be the 1.618, which is around 41 cents. So I could see some selling pressure to go down there. And actually, that 41 cents lines up exactly with the bottom mark again, too. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if it got there. And it's still just on the high time frame here. It's still following market symmetry, and there's no panic at all. And this is still just going in between this long range, this large range. And nothing exciting, I think I mentioned this before, nothing exciting is going to happen until this resistance level gets broken as a resistance. Or worst case, if this gets broken as a support, then there's a possibility to go back down to 28, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. But so far, this 1.618 is holding nicely as support, because you can see right here, it was a previous resistance right here and here, and now it's coming back to a support, right? So I like to see these kind of things, previous resistances, flip to a support once, flip to a support twice, right? So still, this is, in my opinion, this is a good territory to pick up some more coin, right? So that's a possibility here. So let's see more miners I see. All right. So the first one I see is Woof. So 280 is pre-market right there. Yeah, so it lost that angle last week as a support, even lost the baseline, and 280 does sit down here, right through all the support zone, right? So it's basically going right through this all, right? And if this bottom mark doesn't really hold as a support, 280, then it's going to go back and test the top of the cloud, which coincides with the 50-week moving average at 229, 230. That would be the target if this can't hold this 283 level, 285, right? And that's basically where price is now. So it's trying to hold this as a support, which if you look to the left, that would be a back test of like this wick right here, these candles here, right? So this could hold. But we need to understand that if it doesn't hold, then it could come back down to these levels here, to the 230s, right? And BITF, Bitfarms. So this one's losing all kinds of support here. It's now even losing the cloud as a support. And it looks like this 50-week moving average is just getting completely ignored, which kind of means that a 157 is the target, right? It really is pointing in that direction because it lost all the support. So I think 157 down at this 100-week moving average, that'll be the target for some support, and could be an opportunity there to come back up. But you can see all these previous supports are now going to be flipping to a resistance. So it's not like it's just going to explode higher anymore once support is hit. So if it gets to 157, there'll be some resistance back with the arc around the 189s, 190s, and then it could roll over. And then ultimately, this 100-week does need to hold, or it's going to go back down to my orange Gann level, which you can see is super important. Look at resistance, resistance, resistance. So it's never back tested it, right? There has never been a back test of support. So that 125 level could be the ultimate target. So we need to just pay attention to that. But again, one level at a time. First, it's 157. It's not just going to go down to 125 in a straight line. It could bounce and then just roll over down there. So got to watch one level at a time. And BT, same situation, right? Underneath the cloud, losing the 50-week. The target is 228 now. That is the 100-week. And if that doesn't hold, it's going to be the orange level here. And that orange level right here sits at 213. And you can see how important it was in the past two. It was a resistance back over here with these candles. And it was a support zone around here. And now it could be the target to retest a support zone right down here. So that is right at 213. So it's kind of near a good support zone, really, from the 228 down to the 213s, right? So it's not too much of a difference from these levels right there. But those are my targets. And Cypher mining, this one's exactly right. Pre-market is exactly right at the 50-week moving average right here. It's 365, and the 50-week is at 362. And it's still in the cloud. So this is still looking nice. And it's also still making higher lows. You can see these candles here. This level is still higher than these candles here. So that is still a higher low. Now, if this gets ever broken, then it's going to be on the bottom side of the cloud and then possibly go to the arc. But maybe by that time, it could be where the 100 and the arc meet. Could be around $3 or so. But still, one level at a time, and the first level is holding support nicely. Today, it could maybe even wick down to the bottom of the cloud, maybe around 345. So this is possibly a good support zone right there. But again, if this cloud ever gets lost as support, it could roll over to the bottom arc and retest that, right? So those are the levels to watch for. And Tesla, here we go. Tesla. I'm going to start with Tesla on the linear scale here, just because I pointed out on the live stream with Cantonese Cat and Tesla Tracker that I thought Max Pain would be this 309, right? And apparently that's just cutting through it right now. So I think right now we can just disregard that. I think if it was to open around that price, I would like it, but so far it's not. But this is the monthly chart, right? And still, the month is not over yet. And so even though it's going to be a gap down on the weekly chart, on the monthly chart, this could still just turn into a wick and still close above my conversion line there at 207, or right here at the baseline. Sorry, the conversion line is at 201.97, and the baseline is at 208.24. So it still is a possibility, but we can see why it got rejected at that 50-month moving average, which is 230.76. So that was a big resistance zone, and the 382. So I was hoping this was going to be a new trading range, the 382 to the 0.5. But right now, let me just get rid of that 0.039 because it did just cut through it like butter, right? So just take that off. And what I can really see now is, where is support? Well, on a monthly basis, support is back at that 236, really, the 175. So that is a possibility for Tesla to get to, as in my opinion now, this zone, it could wick through like you've seen these months do before. It could be the new Max Pain zone, right? But let's go to this log scale GAN right here. And I'll turn off the Ichimoku and the SMAs because they don't matter anymore on the weekly chart. But here's that GAN that I had, right? So I was saying before, I don't think it's going to be necessary to come back to test the bottom arc here, or this top arc here. But now it's a possibility again. And that top arc does sit around 182, right? So I think it's possible we're going to see that today, and maybe even wick through it, go down to that 175 zone right here. So the market symmetry is still playing out on this GAN chart so very beautifully, right? Because you can see during Tesla buying X or Twitter, it went down to test the bottom arc perfectly. So now this liquidity event could come back and test this, right? So when you zoom out like this, does it look like it's that scary? No, it's just normal. But right now it is rebounding a little bit, so we'll see where it actually opens, right? If for some reason it does open above that 198 level, then that Fibonacci will still be valid, that 0.309 around 198, right? So we'll see where things open up. But right now it's got 10 minutes left. We'll see. It'll probably open below that before the market opens. So these are the targets I'm looking for Tesla. The first support is 182. The second support is that Fibonacci 175 right there, right? So let's see. So not financial advice. Do you see CLSK going back to $19 fairly quickly? I don't see anything really rebounding fairly quickly with this damage, because once things lose support, they got to make sure support is tested before things rebound quickly. But if like the Fed solves things miraculously, then that is a possibility, right? Things could shoot up and continue higher and higher. But yeah, I'll just go back to that CLSK chart real quick. Yeah, so on log scale, this 1380 zone is now going to be resistance, right, for CLSK. So because you can see right here, it was a resistance here, it was a resistance here. Tried really hard on Friday to keep it as a support, but this black swan event pushed it below. So now a previous support is flipping back to a resistance. So I don't see it going back to 19 quickly, but I can see it going back to 1350 or 1360 or even 1370, 80 fairly quickly, right? So, but this zone is going to be now resistance. So I see a request for IWM. So IWM, I'm just going to show the market symmetry on this one, and it's fine, right? Look at what it's doing. It's 198. It's just going back down maybe to retest this blue, but it's still not even there yet. It's still not even below this low here. So is this scary what's happening from 208 to 198? Yeah, 10 points is pretty big for the IWM. But when you zoom out like this, it's still above my 45-degree angle. You can see how important that angle has been as support. And you can still see that it's above the blue, which is at 195. So this is the target, really, that this zone, 195, maybe even down to the low 190s, that still is nothing too dangerous about the chart because it's still above everything and still above support. And with the Ichimoku, yeah, so it's losing everything on the weekly chart here, but it's still above the cloud. The cloud's still green. And is there any support on the monthly Ichimoku here that I can see? Well, yeah. Look what's also down there. So I thought maybe this 203 was going to hold for IWM on a monthly basis, but it still can, right? Because look, there's 25 days left in the month. And you can see that it still could close back above, right? This could just become a wick and still close back above. But I like the confluence of everything here. There's the monthly cloud. There's the baseline there at 195. There's my level down there around 195, the blue line. And it looks fine. Honestly, this does not look like it's in danger of collapsing. To be scared about the market, I would not want to see like a gap all the way down here in the 160s, right? That would be something that would be scary. But for me, this is just normal so far because things like went up pretty fast. Like look at this month, it went up 11%. That month, 9%, right? It went up pretty fast from the bottom here after it tested the bottom of the cloud successfully. And it wanted to come reclaim the support, and it looks like it has so far. So even if it does go down to 195, like 3 points lower, I think that could be an opportunity there because everything looks like it wants to hold this level as support. Now, if this month just continues down and closes much lower, then I'll have some other words. But so far, everything is going according to plan, and I don't really think that this is a bearish, scary event yet. Right? It just looks normal. Everything looks normal. Everything is still making higher lows. All indices are still making higher lows. Right? And let's see. Got Mara. So yeah, Mara is at 1378 pre-market. And just by looking here, it on the monthly basis, it's closing, or it's not closing because there's still 25 days, but it's headed towards a retest of the angle. I'll go on the weekly chart right now just so we can see some different things. Yeah, and it was kind of a precursor how this candle closed, right? It closed below the cloud, below my angle. And that's what a warning sign looks like when it wants to go lower. Like when something closes like this, it's not a good sign for a continuation to be bullish, right? So even if there wasn't this black swan event, it probably wanted to go lower, And this is because this arc right here was a resistance here, and it looks like it wants to maybe back test it as a support, or even this blue level as support. That's a possibility. So here's the levels that I'm watching. Is there anything else in the way? The SMAs? Yeah. So right now, it's right approaching the 100-week moving average at 1346, and right now it's 1378. So that could be your first support. If that support gets lost, then it's going to go down to maybe 1138, 1140. If that gets lost, then it could go down to the 984 level, right? That is what it's looking like. So one level at a time. That's your first level, 1346, then 1140, and then 985 or so, right? So one level at a time. Let's see if this first level can hold for maybe a successful bounce. And MicroStrategy, MSTR. Well. All right, let's turn this off first, just so I can look at the symmetry of it all. Okay, so this is the level I was watching right here the whole time, the 1200 level. That was the 45, and the blue level, I wanted it to hold as a support, right? But so far it's not. And it's opening around, well, we got 3 minutes for market open. And it's going to open around 1075. And is there anything around 1075 that is going to be support? And no. Like the closest support is 933 now with that 50-week moving average. And you can see it, how extended it really was. It's never even back tested that 50-week ever, really, since it broke out. Since it broke out, it never tested it once. And that was March of 2023. Like it never came back down to test that 50. So testing it for the first time since 2023, it could happen, right? That is a very big possibility, and that's a little bit more than 100 points to go. And yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I think that would be the target, really, since it's losing everything else. If we go on the monthly chart here, there is some possible support here of the baseline, which is at 1066, and price is at 1055 or 1059. So this orange baseline, there is a possibility for the whole month of that holding and closing above, and then still continuing higher. So I'm going to watch that 1060 level a lot, because if the longer it stays underneath it, then the greater the chance it has going below 1000 to get to that 50 moving average, right? So let's just take a look with the market. It's going to be opening here soon in about 25 seconds. Okay, I think I lost connection there. I'm not sure what happened to my internet, but that was bad timing. And it looks like the markets are opening, but my internet connection is coming back up here. So we'll just give it a second. Everything's going down today, even my internet. That's exciting. All right, we'll just give it a moment, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. So we'll look at everything here. Bitcoin's at 50,300. We'll go up to my list here. And yeah, so it looks like Amazon is down 7%. Apple's down 8%. So let's check out these high flyers real quick just to see. So on a monthly basis, look at where Apple is. It's right at the conversion line, holding as support. That's not really scary, is it? No, even though it's down 17 points. Let's look at Meta on the monthly basis. It hasn't even gotten back to this conversion line at 428 yet, right? That's not so scary either. Let's look at Google. Yeah, Google, kind of the same thing. It's right around the conversion line now at 159. It's a little bit below, but you can see that they were really extended. Like, look at all these green monthly candles in a row for Google. It's just natural to have a few months of correction. And of course, if it coincides with more fear, then that makes everybody panic even more. And let's see here. Let's just look at ARK. Yeah, that one's it's still making a higher low, though. Look at that. From here, higher low, higher low. So that could be some interesting development there. Let's look at Microsoft. Okay, it's losing the conversion line there. So it could go back down to the baseline at 340, which is not so far away, really. And 340 would be a back test of the previous all-time high. That's not a bearish thing, back testing previous all-time highs. No, not at all. NVIDIA, on a monthly basis, it's just back to the conversion line, right? Got rejected by my green level up there. And essentially, I thought I was going to break through it, but it never did. So now that is support, right? This is that's first support zone right here. And if that breaks down, then possibly it'll go to 75, right? But this is still a big support zone. But look at all these green candles on a monthly basis in a row. It's only had what, 1, 2, 3 during this uptrend. There's only 3 red monthly candles since January of 2023. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. Like, this is normal. Like, it had to happen at some point because things don't go up in a straight line, right? And NVIDIA is proof, but this is still a bullish chart. It's above that conversion line. Let's see what Tesla's doing now. Yeah, so Tesla did touch 182. Remember in pre-market I said that 182, and that's where it hit right now, right? And it's bouncing so far, and that's the top of the arc. You can see it happen in real time, right? Like market symmetry, there is a thing to it, and nothing is like, oh, it's guaranteed. It's all about support levels, right? If one support level breaks, then we have to go adjust it to the next support level, and this is the next support level right here at 182. And if that breaks, it's that Fibonacci at 175 that I mentioned before, right here, this 175 zone. So we got to watch out for that, but it's not guaranteed to get there because of the market symmetry right here. And let's see what else. So CLSK. Yeah. So on a monthly basis, it's still trying to hold the 50-month moving average, and that's at 1072. So that's an important level too, 1072 for Mara. I mean for CLSK. Mara, yeah, right at the 100-month, 1462. Still could close above, right? Important levels. Like, everything's really at an important level right now. Okay. Is BTC descending, broadening wedge pattern? First, let me just check out this RTY. Yeah. That is on a monthly basis going right back to support too. Right back to the 1979 baseline, right? So I think that could be the target. But what's IWM now? It's at 197. Yeah, it could go down to that 195 level that I mentioned before, right? This 195 level right here. I think that could be the target. But ultimately, like when you look at a chart like this on a monthly chart, does it look that scary? It does not. That's what I just want people to understand. It doesn't have to be that scary when you zoom out, right? You just have to understand that things went up a lot and now they're just correcting. That's all things are doing right now. And BTC, let's see, it's at 51,000. Oh yeah, here's the market symmetry on log scale for BTC. It backtested my ARC finally on a monthly basis, right? And I wanted this level to hold as support, but it's still maintaining this arc, right? You can see it never got above this arc back in November of 2021, and that means that it's flipping it to a support right now, and it actually looks fine right here. But the one thing that I wanted to show is on the linear scale for Bitcoin, right? And I made this warning video about I don't know, over a month ago, right? So let me just take off these indicators. Oh, it's right at the 50-week moving average too, which is at 50,575, and it's been a wick so far. So that's a positive thing for Bitcoin, right? And one thing I wanted to point out to you guys is this angle, right? I've been saying if this 61,300, I've been saying this on X for a long time now, that if this angle gets lost, or if this level gets lost as support, there's a possibility of retesting this angle as support, and it's not there yet, right? It did not get. It got close. It got to, what did it get to? 49. I think on some exchanges it got to 48, but on Bitstamp it only got to 49.5. But I think on like KuCoin it got to 48 or something. So that still doesn't reach that level. Like that angle right there is around 47,000. But just look at how important this is in the past, this angle, right? And it was a resistance there previously before, right here. So coming back to backtest that is not that bad. Not that bad. So I just think that is it in a broadening wedge pattern? I mean, patterns play out sometimes, yes, sometimes no. I just think what's important to see here is this could not break resistance right up here, right? It could not break. And if it can't break a resistance, it's going to go retest a support. But since it closed the week below my orange level, that wasn't support anymore. And the next support did sit lower. But currently it's above the 50-week, right? So this is our support now that we have to watch. The 50-week moving average. And again, it's kind of like MicroStrategy, right? It didn't backtest it ever since it broke out. Look at that. March 2023, it never touched the 50-week ever. It came close right here in September 2023, but it never touched it. And now it finally did. So that's a good thing, right? I'm glad it touched that because now that gives it a possibility to rebound and continue higher, right? Usually when things touch for the first time, they like to rebound. And so far, that's what it's doing. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. Let's see here. SERV, when you have the chance. Serve Robotics. Yeah, I can't really chart this one really. Maybe on the daily chart. Yeah, there's really, yeah. On the daily chart, it's below the baseline now, so it looks like it wants to go lower. Just because it lost this support. You can see it was above it the whole time, but now it lost it, so it could come back down to the 50-day around 488 or down to these lower levels first, around the $8 or $9. So that's it. Yeah, I discussed Tesla. You can go back and watch it, but let's take a look at what Tesla's doing right now. Anyways, so yeah, it's at 190. And 190 is at a level. Oh, this is the daily chart. On the weekly chart, nothing. Monthly chart, yeah, nothing. So the only thing that's beneficial for Tesla right now is the market symmetry right here. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, the arc held, right? That's the only thing that we can rely on now because there are no other support levels in that zone. And sometimes when you see price bounce at a certain level and there's no indicators at that level, then that's where market symmetry comes into play, and we can see it here perfectly, right? This arc wants to be support, and this arc, if it wants to be support, that means it wants to still go higher, right? And this is why I really think accumulating in the lower levels is good. Um, did I this morning? Not yet. I was just busy and focused on doing this live stream, but I'll take a look afterwards to see if I want to buy. But if it went back to 180 or 175, I would buy. I would buy more just because I like that Fibonacci level and I like this market symmetry, right? So let's see here. So I'm ready to add some ADS and some DAG if you haven't touched on those. So I'll touch on it really quickly, I guess. Yeah. There's DAG. Where's my ADS? I'll go to ADS first. Oh, there it is. So that's the monthly chart. Let's just take a look at the weekly chart here. Yeah, I mean, it's going back to that blue angle now, or it tried to at least, around the low sevens. But I like the market structure. Like even market symmetry is good, but the market structure of from the low, it's still making higher high, higher low, higher low, higher high, and there's like another higher low from here, right? So you can't be too bearish on this one. It looks fine. It did lose the Ichimoku cloud though, so it's going to be a while for it to be bullish again, really, but it's still holding support, right? And that's the most important thing there, is that it's holding support. And with DAG, I did create a new log scale just for fun, and I'm using this one just to see if that new angle is going to hold, right? And this is the 45. You can see it's pretty symmetrical. So that could be a support right here, right? Around the 2 cent zone where it hit. So yeah, that could be a good opportunity right now for this. And if you look to the left, it did backtest finally these lower candles here of the previous highs. So on the very high time frame, it's not so bad, but in the short term, it made a lower low. And I don't like to buy charts that make lower lows just because that is not how market structure is bullish, right? It means market structure is now bearish again because it made a lower low again, right? And let's go look at the markets. Let's see what Solana. Let's see what Doge is doing. Yeah, Doge it lost that angle as support, got rejected by that Fibonacci, but it's at a range right here. It's at a range where price is before it broke out. So I kind of like that because market structure is still fine. It's still making a higher low from here, right? So nothing too bad yet, right? All right, let's look at the markets again. Where's IDBM? 187. The Dow Jones, it's down 1100. Let's look at the Dow Jones. So the Dow, yeah, it's just back to that level. Ichimoku. If I go to the monthly chart here, yeah, on the Dow, it's just backtesting the conversion line exactly almost. The conversion lines at 38,645, and prices at what 38,681.75. Yeah. And what else we got here? SPX. What are you doing here? Yeah, look at that. On the monthly chart, it hit resistance, guys. Like I mentioned this before when it was wicking through. I made posts about it on X. You can look that I'm like, is this going to be a wick and be close it back below, or is it going to break through and continue higher? And sure enough, it turned into a wick, which means they wanted to go lower. But right now, it's holding the conversion line at 5108, right? So it can't be too scary since it's holding that, right? So things are bouncing now. Is it time to really get excited yet? I don't know, right? We just have to wait and see. Wait and see. So where's Tesla at 194 now, right? That's pretty good. Yeah, things are bouncing a little bit. But I believe if you look on the daily chart, let's just see how things are opening. So we'll just focus on the daily charts now just to see if it has a chance of breaking levels. You don't have to pay attention to the blue lines here simply because they are not scaled for the daily chart. They are scaled for the weekly chart. But look at the daily chart for Tesla. Broke out. Look at this range right here. Oh, my magnet's on. This is a demand zone, right? Look at all these candles in this range right here. And now it's just back testing that range. Like you don't even have to use any indicators at all on the daily chart. You can just look at that. You're like, okay, it's back in demand zone. That's what it's doing. So is it just going to turn into a wick? It looks like so far has the possibility. And now there's even a gap above, right? And the gap above sits above 200. So it has some room to go higher, right? And the SMAs, yeah, so there's going to be some resistance before that. At 203, there's the 200-day moving average at 203.65 for Tesla. But yeah, so far it looked like it was a buy the open event, right? Because these are turning into pretty nice candles. Let's look at the QQQ on the daily chart. Yeah, it opened below the 200-day, but now it's going back above. So this is actually a good development that I'm seeing. And it's still a higher low from here, right? You can see this low, still a higher low. So things look scary, but it looks like it was so far a buy the open event, right? And Palantir, take a look at that. Yeah, so Palantir, it opened here, wick through the 200-day, and now it's going above, right? So that was also a buy the open event. Looks like it has some room to go up to 23.88, where that's going to be resistance now. And I see a question, how is CLSK looking right now? Let's go take a look at CLSK. So on the daily chart, right here, yeah, there's no resistance on the daily chart until 1332. But again, that 13 level does sit basically right here back at my blue level right here, right? So, but before that, there's the 50-week moving average, which is at 1197. So that's going to be some resistance now. It's kind of looking like if it can't close this week back above the 50, it's going to start getting below the cloud, and it's probably going to roll over down to the angle. So this week, I think is very important for the miners, especially CLSK. I want to see it close back above $12 basically for the week. And if the week does close back $12, close back above $12, then it has a chance to continue higher and higher, right? So we'll see. But so far, yeah, it's looking like a buy the open event. So I take it many of us are sitting on our hands, hence a live TA during trading hours. Guys, I'm optimistic. Let's all settle our nerves and what unfolds. Yeah, exactly. And I've been trying to say that all the time. Just you gotta zoom out, right? And I saw Meet Kevin actually he reposted or he replied to me because I was making fun of him about 180 is not going to happen. And then he just put a comment like RIP, rest in peace. So I'm like, all right, guy. I'm not a day trader. I don't trade like every day like he does. I just buy the high time frame supports and try to sell the high time frame resistance levels. And I think that's a little bit less stressful than worrying about every day-to-day activity. But he was right about 180. Well, actually, he wasn't right. Let's take a look. It only got to 182, so he was wrong, right? No. But yeah, Tesla, that arc is holding well as support. But yeah, I didn't think this was possible, and it took like a black swan event to get below these levels, and that is the reason why these supports didn't hold. But if you look at it, really, this candle didn't care about the resistance on the way up, and then these candles didn't really care about the support on the way down. So, in essence, it's just like nothing changed at all. We're just back to where we were June 24th, 2024. That's basically exactly where we're back. You know. All right. Any more requests you guys want to see? Let's see here. Yeah, things are not that scary. I mean, down 4% seems bad, but if you look at what the Nikkei did, down 12%, where did that close, the Nikkei? So it closed down here. So yeah, this is the Nikkei right here. The market symmetry is just fine, right? It's just, or the market structure is still fine. It hasn't even made a lower low yet from here. And the 200 week moving average is at 30,193. So yeah, the Nikkei, people are worried it's going to collapse, but the market structure is still bullish too, even though it's on the bottom side of the cloud now. That just means it's going to turn into resistance more and consolidate longer and longer before it breaks out. But it had a really explosive run as well. Tesla back to 185. Was there anything in particular that happened to cause these movements? I just think everything was overextended, and I think for the altcoins, nothing could break resistance. And if, like I said many times, if things can't break resistance, then they're going to retest support, and then those supports didn't hold, and now those supports are flipping into resistance. So now things are just getting extended more. So if everybody's expecting a massive run soon, it's probably not going to happen because things are getting extended more. And whether that's a few more months or longer, we don't really know, right? But closing below support means things are now going to be resistance, right? So that's what that means. But let's go back to Tesla. 185. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's possible, but this weekly candle looks like it wants to go back up to the baseline, and that baseline sits at 204.90. So we'll have to see what happens at that 204.90 level, because if that gets rejected, then yeah, it could roll over and retest the lower 180s again, and maybe even go back to this 236 level at 175.60. All right. Sorry, I got to get a drink. Okay, so now, yeah, Tesla 196. So on the monthly candle, this is what it looks like. And what I really want to see for Tesla on the month is closing back above the baseline. Because if it closes back above the baseline at 208.24 for the whole month, then that is the first time that it's really had 2 consecutive months close back above this orange baseline. See right here, it did close above the orange baseline right up here. You can see it when I take off the fib. It closed here and it closed here, but this did not close back above. So I mean, 2-3 months back above would be ideal, right? And then eventually, if this blue conversion line crosses above the orange baseline, that would be a bullish cross, which is the opposite of this, right? You see how this is a bearish cross right here? If that happened here, a bullish cross, that would be beautiful for price to just keep going higher, right? And somebody was asking about Mara again. Yeah, weekly chart is fine. Yeah, so it opened here. Well, this is the week or the month. Let's go back to the weekly chart first, and then I'll go back to the monthly chart. So yeah, it basically opened almost right on the 100-week moving average, and now it's going higher. So the next resistance level looks like it's at 1551 right up here. So sorry, 1736. That's the 50-week moving average. And on the monthly chart here, there's even the 100-month moving average as support. So that's why it was really a buy the open event, right? It's just it opened near this support, this massive support, and now it's up like a couple bucks from where it started in the morning. Looks pretty good, right? Yeah, we'll look at Palantir again. So the monthly chart, actually, let's go look. Oh yeah, it's right back at the 2275 conversion line on the monthly chart. And it's holding this angle as support. Let's look at it on log scale though. I like it on log scale a little bit more. So this is the weekly chart. It's below support, right? It's below support. So this is now resistance. The 2450 that I've been talking about for a while, that I really enjoyed. I really liked it, and it was support, but now it's going to be resistance. So the new support now is that 2076 level, the 50-week moving average, right? So I just think it's going to be in a range, but market structure and market symmetry are playing out really well. Like it's still a higher low from here. It's still playing along with my GAN very well. It's just going to be in a range probably for a while, which is fine because there was a lot of green weekly candles in a row, and it just went back to the levels before price broke out. That's all we're seeing with a lot of things, even in cryptos too. We're seeing price return to levels before they broke out, and that's not a really bad thing. It's not good when things break support and flip it to resistance, but as long as they're not continuing lower, then things are good. But like some altcoins, they're making lower lows, so that is not a good thing, right? That means they're still in a bear market, a really big bear market, and it's like still trying to catch a falling knife. So gotta keep an eye on that. But yeah, the market overreacted. It happens, but it overreacted on the upside too, right? It overreacted both ways. But now it's just erasing the moves that it had, right? All this right here, just erase that, and now we're back to May. We're back to June. That's all we are. Back to May or back to June on a lot of charts now. And that's fine, right? It is what it is. And let's look at Coinbase real quick. Oh, I see FET. Yeah, I'll look at that too. Yeah, Coinbase, it's just going back to that 618 level on log scale, which is it's normal, really. It lost that support, right? It lost the blue level, it lost the arc, so it looks like it wants to come back here. But this week is not over, right? And it's still back. It's going back above the 50-week moving average, which was at 170. So it might not even get to that 618, right? If it closes the week back above this, that's a bullish thing. But again, the previous support right up here, 195, 200, 210, this whole zone will now be resistance, right? That's how the markets work. Once they lose support, it becomes resistance until proven otherwise. Fetch AI. Yeah. Yeah, that lost support too, right? Lost support. So it came back to the next support, which was the 100-week moving average at 70 cents, and that bounced, right? So that is our new support. But what looks like is going to happen, it's in the following weeks, it's going to start opening candles on the bottom side of the cloud, which means even more resistance above, right? So this is the theme of a lot of crypto right now. Most of them have found a new support level, but now they have a lot more resistance above, right? So that's fine. I mean, just more time, or really maybe closer to election time or in 2025. We'll just have to wait longer. But so far, Nothing is too scary. Even Solana, like look at what Solana did. Um, yeah, it got rejected by my level up here, and that was back in March. That was the time to take profits, and then now it lost the conversion and baseline and went right back to the 50 and my blue angle, and that angle is important. Look, it was resistance here, was support here, and now it looks like it could be a support here. But this chart is good. It's not in danger of losing the cloud. It's looking like it wants to consolidate, but you can see this bearish cross right here, right? This this conversion line's crossing below the baseline. So that's going to add more resistance, right? Around the 150s. So if price gets back up there, it probably will not break through the first time. It'll probably just maintain this range for some time. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap things up soon, guys. Yeah, let's even look at end phase before I do. Yeah, I mean, it didn't even make a lower low. Like everything looked like it was by the open event, really. And SMCI flipped to resistance, that 50-week right there. If it can close the week back above it, then that's a good sign. But right now it's acting as resistance. So this is in danger to go much lower. It really is. It's in danger. Just got to see where this week closes. But that 367 level is kind of close to the level before the price broke out, right? So, geez, yeah, this week is important. It's got to close back above. And one last look, guys. So yeah, Tesla is back at 200. So was Meet Kevin right? I don't know. He didn't get the 180 like he called, so who knows? But anyways, enough of that. Like markets are rebounding. I told you guys all the levels I'm watching. So just when you see the overnight futures, when you see everything tank, just realize on Robinhood, it's a lot of retail traders just panicking and selling their stuff, right? And it's not really real liquidity at all. So you just got to pay attention to that, not freak out. You got to go into things with the high time frame. When you see market panic, switch to the monthly charts, switch to the weekly charts just to get the big picture view to see what's really going on. And I think once you do that, you can start to calm down because on the high time frame, nothing is really scary except for this SMCI. It's getting kind of scary because it's getting to resistance now, right? But everything else is looking kind of good. I mean, Nvidia is back over 100 again too. Microsoft is almost over 400 again. Amazon's 162. I mean, things are not looking too terrible anymore. The Nasdaq, the QQQ is back at 436. Yeah, so all in all, things are just doing what they should be doing, and things just got overextended, and now they're just correcting back to the levels they were before they were extended, and we should be fine to find some support here. So try not to panic, and I'll see you guys on X. Have a good day.